History laid the foundation
that informs our conversation. Welcome to the classroom.
from the church to the streets and even in the suites and all around the world. I'm gonna keep it real in the classroom. Fannie Lou's classroom. Fannie Lou's classroom. Fannie Lou's classroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to another amazing episode of Fannie Lou's Classroom. I guess we're probably on about episode 11 at this point in the season. And so listen, you know I always have to shout out the team that makes this happen. 11 episodes in and we still have the best quality, the best guests. Everybody is well taken care of and ready to go. So let me shout out Brooke, who, you know, always handles all the business. Our audio engineer who makes sure we look good on the look, I'm sounding like an old person, on the YouTube. On YouTube. I shouldn't say that. On YouTube. And of course we have Ashley who handles our social media and all things. Then we have Cheryl to make sure our guests are well taken care of and they feel all the love and support. Y'all felt loved and supported when you came in?
Yes.
Yes. And so I want y'all to notice something, though. You remember a couple of weeks ago, I was like, Ashley's not here. She's out enjoying herself. Last week, I was like, Cheryl's not here and Ashley's not here. Cheryl was out enjoying herself. Notice who hasn't been out enjoying themselves on vacation. So we welcome everybody back home. They're back. I was out here handling things by myself. Brooke had to be the photographer, engineer, but that's what we do in the classroom. We do what we do. We black women. We make it happen. No, but very seriously, we're glad to have everybody back in the building. We all need a break. It's a such thing as work-life balance, and I believe in that. So super excited to have the full crew back in, but I'm even more excited about our conversation on today. And we have two amazing people who are going to be with us on the day. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce them, and we're going to jump into the conversation and see what we want to have to say as it relates to this idea of talking about the black business owner and the black consumer. And having those kind of conversations. So we talk about it all the time in our circles. We text each other, whether we talking good or bad. Right. So now we just want to kind of have that conversation, kind of open dialogue in a way that's healthy, that's beneficial for both consumer and business owner. Right. So first guest, I guess I could say not really introducing you, it's just announcing that you're here because everybody know you if they in the DFW area.
I don't know nothing about all that.
So we have Damond Fields, who established Sankofa in 1995 to create more than just a business. It's a vibrant cultural experience where books, food, and music come together in an environment that celebrates Black and African culture. Sankofa has cooked for Erykah Badu and many entertainers, athletes, federal court judges, and more. Some names like Common, our very own beloved, who has now gone on to the other side to rest with the ancestors, Sean Martin. One of my favorite comedians, Dave Chappelle. Now, see, you should have told me when you had Dave up in there. One of my favorite comedians, David Chappelle, Mint Condition. Instead, take me back to my undergrad days. Stokely. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, listen, I ain't playing. I
see.
So many other. If you look at if it's a household entertainer name, athlete, he served. They've been to his spot. And you also had some people who did music, who did live shows at Sankofa.
That's what we was known for in the beginning.
Back in the day, I used to come. Over there off of MLK.
Stokely was one of them.
Oh, I missed that one. So Sankofa's like the place to be, right? And so Damond has been in this thing for quite some time. So 30 years, they recently celebrated their 30th anniversary of being in business. Come on, a black business.
Appreciate it.
Handling business for 30 years. And I can tell you, when you go in, you can not just feed your body physically, but he got some soul food for you. That's going to feed your soul and your spirit, right? Books for days. I got a few books from Damond. He also had that good old, I call it the toothpaste that you should be using.
Right on.
You know, so natural oils. I mean, Damond hooked me up with some body oils one time that I could use in the bathtub, on my skin. I'm just saying he got everything. It's holistic. So Sankofa is not fast food. But you can sit down and get some food fast
Fresh food, not fast
That's
food.
it. That's
Yes.
it. Fresh food, not fast food, and it's really good. And I love
is.
I love the tea. Let me finish reading. Damond also hosted events and conferences focused on African culture and history in Dallas Fort Worth, going with historians. I mean, many known historians, right, such as Dr. Leonard Jeffries. Now, Uncle of House Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, who I got a problem with right now. But nevertheless, they all family. Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, Queen Afua Amira Bakapi, Baraka.
Amira Baraka,
Afua Amira Baraka. And the last poets, and we all know Dr. George Fraser and many others. And so welcome Damond to the show. He's all things culture, keeps us connected, keeps us grounded, and let us know it's really okay to be African.
Right on.
And that we're all part of the African diaspora. So thank you, Damond, for being here.
Asante Sana for bringing me.
Come on up. That means thank you very much. Thank you. Look, we don't get no hand clap for the brother.
I'm the only brother in here. I'm already feeling nervous.
And then we have our very own devoted servant leader and active member of Friendship West Baptist Church, the Dr. Loren Gilbert-Smith. She leads small Bible study and has faithfully served in our justice ministry, man, since 98. That's when it was called the Social Action Ministry. That's when I joined the church in 98. Oh, I need to talk to you. I'm right. Yes, I need to talk to you. I didn't realize you were here. You were here back then because you can give me a little more history on the social action.
I
ministry.
remember when you used to come in and do the Bible study. In the beginning of the meetings.
Yeah. Wow. And that's been, we're going to talk about how many years that's been. A mother, grandmother, and creator of plant-based personal care products, Dr. Gilbert-Smith brings compassion and creativity to everything she does. Yes, she does. Professionally, she serves as program manager, too, at Dallas College and has a diverse background in higher education, criminal justice, corporate project management. Her previous roles include adjunct professor, department chair, paralegal, and network analyst. She holds degrees from the City University of New York and the University of Phoenix, a Doctor of Divinity from Grace International Seminary, and is currently completing her doctoral studies in public policy and criminal justice at Walden University. Dr. Gilbert-Smith is deeply engaged in civic and professional organizations, including the City of Dallas Community and Police Oversight Board, South Dallas Business and Professional Women's Club, Top Ladies of Distinction, and one of my oldie but goodies, the National Council of Negro Women, and the J.L. Turner Legal Association. Her life's works reflects a commitment to justice, education, and holistic wellness. Let's welcome soon-to-be Dr. Loren Gilbert-Smith to the classroom.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. So one of the things I want to start with, because it's just something that's everybody is talking about, definitely on social media and some in my social circle. In fact, somebody texted me and said, "Now we're doing the blackout. Does that mean we can't shop black on?" I was like, no, that means that's what you turn your money. You redirect from shopping with other corporate box stores and other folks, and you shop small business, black owned business. So let's talk a little bit about how you, Damond, as a business owner, and I mean you're a business owner too. I know you had a business.
Oh no, I do mine. I give it away.
Oh, you do? Let's talk. You should have brought some samples for us today. But you as a consumer, so. Want to talk about on this level in terms of like the Target boycott. I want to get your thoughts on that and how you feel that plays in the larger economic ecosystem as relates to Black people and their money.
You know, when we spend our money without paying attention to how and where we're spending it, then we're just throwing it away. Because our money means something. It affects the entire economy. Target didn't know how much money we spent until we stopped shopping. And they had to rearrange things. They lost a lot of business. I still don't shop at Target. Until they make those changes that we ask for. They don't need my money. Not everyone understands that, because they don't realize numerically how much money we spend. You know, when you're talking about almost $3 trillion. That's not a little bit of money.
Oh, no.
That can change things. And it is. But not everyone is aware. You know, my 5 grandchildren, no, we're not going a whole lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not taking you to McDonald's. We're not going to Walmart. Definitely not Target. Don't ask me to take you any of those places because that's my money. That's your money. We can go to Sankofa.
Mm-hmm.
My granddaughter and I, you know, we drive like crazy after school to go down to get coffee at, okay, you know, I just forgot the name.
So coffee. Uh-huh.
Yes. That's where we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we pass a whole lot of coffee places.
Right.
But that's where I spend my money.
Brother?
I mean, I agree with everything the doctor said. But I think I might be coming from, I look at it a little differently because even before the dollars are spent, we have to reshape our value systems. And understand, it's a book out by, I can't think of the African brother's name right now, but he calls it Decolonizing the Mind.
Mm-hmm.
So until we decolonize our mind, the money doesn't matter because we can do a boycott today, but after the 48 hours to the week, we go back to doing the same thing. So I think that we have to look at it as a value system to understand it's bigger than just one day or pushing white people to do right for one day.
Right.
You know, because like I think like what the sister was saying about not shopping at certain places, but while we're not shopping at certain places, we need to be educating each other on how to create the experience outside of it, not even having to go back anymore.
Right.
You know, because I think a lot of it has to be, okay, if we don't go there, then where are we going to go? And then we want to go to the black businesses on the boycott. This is why I look at it from now, because I'm a consumer as well as a business owner. But what I look at more of is that we think that we're helping out an independent business or a black business by rushing in there on 2 days. First of all, they're not ready to deal with that many people coming in. So now they want to, now we're going to get on social media. Man, I went over there and tried to support these folks. They couldn't keep up. So you got 2,000 people that's coming in that they hadn't seen in a week. I mean, in a year. And you expect me to maintain that for one day.
Right.
And then, so what happens is you rush in and say you support them, but then you go back and it's kind of productive when you go on social media and bash them. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense.
It make a whole lot of sense. So, go ahead, and I'm going to come back to several things that Damond said that I want to talk about.
Damond, I think we need to form our own way of giving feedback.
I agree.
To our businesses.
Right.
To teach them how to interact with us, to provide good customer service. I used to teach customer service, and it's really important. Some people do not know. You know, I don't report anything on social media that's negative. I just won't, say anything about your business.
Right.
But I always give reviews.
Right.
And I always give positive reviews. Because I want someone else to come there. And I will call you and say, you said you were going to clean my ducts, but you left holes in my wall. People are looking up at my ceiling saying, what's wrong? You never came back. Right. I can't recommend you to somebody else.
Right.
So, I'm going to come back to that too, because I think that we really want to talk about, I really want to talk about that more deeply, but I want to not lose something that Damond said, or two things that I think is important in this conversation, how we need to reshape, to your point, our value system, because to say boycott, Target, don't shop until they make right until they hold themselves accountable for what they said they were going to do. But to your point, it's more about leave Target, period, ... You know what I'm saying? And so, but it's the value system which lends itself to us being over consumers or hyper consumeristic, right? Because we all feel like we got to go buy and consume this and consume that. So I'm wondering, what does that value system look like? And some of it is just going back, a Sankofa moment, going back and seeing what our folks did.
Correct.
Where they, where they were able to get everything they needed within community. So let's talk about what does that value system look like. That's number one. Number two, it is, and Cheryl was a part of this when we did it here at Friendship West. We did a 12-week business accelerator program. And part of what we're trying to do is to get some of our Black-owned businesses to rethink how they even understand what it means to be in business. What does it mean to really think about scaling, building capacity so that you can have our children, when they go out to school, they can come back and work in some of our Black-owned businesses and community, et cetera, et cetera. And so Cheryl can talk about this too, how some business owners, right, it was a stretch, right? We had to do some kind of tussling back and forth on how to kind of really think about business in a different way. So I'm wondering then, what does that value system look like for people who consume? And what is it like for some of our Black business owners?
So I look at it as a two-phase situation. First of all, as a consumer, we have to understand that Europeans have had 500 to 600 years to master the area that they're in. So you can't judge all the time what your experience has been in corporate business as someone that just started 30 years ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not an excuse on that level. And then on the business side of it, I think that we in Fannie Lou's classroom, so we need to be able to teach exactly the meaning of business owner versus actually someone that has a trade that's doing business. And that's the problem that we've been having a lot of.
Come on, break
Because
that
we
down.
want to identify someone that can do hair, that owns a hair salon, like that they're in business. No, you're in business for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because to have a business, like as of right now, I'm here, but Sankofa is still opening. I don't cook anything. You know, if I was to cook, no one would come in there. Let's be clear about it.
Yeah.
You know,
But your sister sure can.
yes. But it didn't start like that. But even though, like, there's degrees, like just like all y'all have doctorates in school, like there are degrees in business that you have to learn. You know, I didn't understand this in the beginning because I didn't know that I was going to have to be an accountant. I didn't understand I was going to be a marketing expert. I didn't understand that I was going to have to be a financial advisor to the staff. You know, I didn't know I was going to have to be a delivery driver or an Uber driver before Uber was even popular to go bring people to work. You know, I just wanted to make money. That's all I wanted to do. You know, so like as you figure that you understand that there are certain levels that you have to go to make the business work because we're under finance, we're under resource, and then a lot of times we had a lot of people, not no shade on you doctors or you educated, but a lot of times we want to come in and it's good and it's bad. And I guess the best way to look at it is because I like history. Malcolm always said history is best qualified to reward our research. So what I want to use right now is we need to learn from Booker T. Washington and W.B. Du Bois. Booker T was the one that was actually boots on the ground.
Right.
Du Bois was with the talented tent. We still need to have that same camaraderie as doing consumers as well as business owners, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does. And I think to your point, if you look at Booker T and, because I like how, I'm glad you said that, because one of the things we also have to do is dispel this myth that there was a real rivalry going on. Some of that was manufactured.
Most
right?
of it was.
Most of it wasn't what people think, right? You Booker T, you Du Bois, like it's some kind of either or. It was a both and, right? Because if you were Tuskegee, you know how to lay them bricks. So you can build your own house. You can build those businesses because you know how to lay your bricks, right? So it was trade. I think it's both and is that, and then somebody got to think,
Correct.
right? And it's not saying you can't do both things. That you can't have. Some of us can do both.
But not to cut you off, but if we look at every group of people that's coming over here, they've applied the Booker T. Washington concept, and they're making more millionaires than the people that has degrees and been going and working for 30 years. So I mean, like we looked down on that years ago, but now everyone that's coming over here right now is taking the Booker T's approach.
Right, and I think that's good because now I'm thinking about. The other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said, "What we gonna do?" I said, "What have we done?" Now I don't say we've been. Now I know some people say we've been here before. Now we ain't been here. Fannie Lou been here before. We ain't been here before, but we can look back, right, and see the ways in which they mutual aid societies, co-ops. The Embraer has an excellent book, Collective Courage. I mean, so there are ways, to your point, to me, the value system is there.
Correct.
It's revisiting that and how do we make it live in the 21st century. And part of it has to be, though, you have to decolonize your own mind first, because people won't say this, but they do believe the white people ice is colder.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it manifests in behavior. Now, you would never say that. You wouldn't think you're behaving that way, but you are. Right? So it's, I think it will have to do a lot of unsettling. It's going to have to be a lot of unlearning. And it has to be more of how you really understand who you are. And so, and I think about, how Africa, of course, divided up in 5 regions on the continent, and they designate the 6th region as the diasporic, right? So even how do we even think, come on now, we got show and tell. This is here you call a scholar and historian. How you just show up, you got stuff in your backpack. He dug into his backpack and look, this ain't no new book. Look, somebody done been through this book. So Brooke, can you zoom in on this? So this is decolonizing the African mind. And yes, you are African. Oh, do you need me to do it again? We're working it out. She's trying to get y'all this shot. They need to move it over. So it's a little blurry. We can also put it in our and we add it to the we're gonna add it, but it's decolonizing the African mind, and I think that's where it starts.
Yes.
And it just so now see how this just working, spirit working. I looked at a clip of Dr. John Henry Clark this morning, where he talked about all y'all African. He was teaching class at Hunter College, and when he told all the Caribbean folk and the Black Americans. He said, and he just talked straight up, right? He said, all y'all got the same color, not y'all to look, more close to white. I want all y'all who look the same color, go downstairs. Don't you? I don't want to hear no accents. Don't talk. Just try to, just kind of do your cab. Hail a cab. Every last one of them, like 20 cabs, passed all of them. Mm-hmm. So when they came back in, he said, that's what I'm saying, because you're African. The only difference is where the boat stopped. And I think part of it is how do we, reclaim that to understand that there's nothing, and I think we're just ashamed of it. We are so, we have so much internalized oppression in a borrowed imagination where we are living somebody else's dream. And we're living what it means to be human based on somebody else's value system that does not benefit us.
Right.
And so that's definitely where it needs to start. And I think that's really how we get to Target is not just, when they do right, it's like, I'm going for Target and I'm going for good. Yeah. And you said that I've seen some people say, well, I'm never going back there. I don't care what they do.
Right.
Right. And so how do we do, to your point, Damond, that is the real shift that has to happen. Because to your point, you just can't all of a sudden show up at a Black-owned business you barely support, and 20,000 people showing them, and then you want to talk about them like that. Like, how are we not? Like, that's a major disconnect alone. Like, who doesn't think? Well, nobody ever comes over here. Really, I haven't been here. So all y'all other people wrapping around this building have not been here, and you want all of a sudden have the staff to support it, to have the food. Who gonna just have a bunch of food sitting around, right? I'm sure, like, you're a business owner. I'm sure you do inventory. You kind of know what you need to have on hand, how much you serve, etc. So I think that's the first step. So let's say we get our mind decolonized. That's the first thing, so we can then know what the value system is. Then what?
I mean, I think we need to look at what we specialize in, as a people, and see what's needed is most, And I think that it starts with leadership. And I think and I'm not just saying this because I'm sitting in Friendship West, but I think the leadership at Friendship West actually has carried that on before a boycott. You know what I'm saying? Like, we get so much support from the West, So it starts with that. But you have a lot of people that's in those same communities. You don't see them till Sunday.
Right.
So I think it starts with levels like that. And then the churches have so much talent. I think that we need to use the church's talent and the people that's in there that have the resources as well as the know-how to create businesses out of the churches and use it that way. And then you carry it on. I think what's the one that y'all went to in that you and Damond and y'all went to, the brother that has the grocery store. Is it in Illinois?
Oh, it was Jeffrey Johnson, Pastor Jeffrey Johnson in Indianapolis.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are examples.
Yes. To Damond's talk. Well, now he's retired, and his son has been officially installed as a new pastor. But when we went to visit them, they had When I say I don't know, I'm not calling it a community garden. I'm calling it a garden that fed the grocery store they had on the corner. Wow. So they had a whole building. They had a bank in the building. They had the grocery store where you go in and shop. Then they had like huge plots where they were growing the food. They had built housing. So it was like real, to your point, real developed, owned. But when I say owned and controlled by the church, I'm sure it was, like we have a separate, development corporation. Right. But to the point being, that's what the mind was on. Yes. It was on acquiring land and resources for land and food sovereignty, right? So you can build what you want to on your land. Exactly. And if you want to bring a business in, you can control what business comes into the neighborhood, which can keep like predatory lenders, car title loans, et cetera, out of the neighborhood.
One of the things that you had mentioned, Damond, was that consumers have to become educated. Where do you spend your money? We do, like earlier it was said that we just spend.
Right.
Well, do you sit down and look at your budget? Do you sit down and look at the history? The bank sends you a report. How much money do you spend and where is it going?
Correct.
And how can you redirect those funds into something meaningful that will have an impact on the community?
Correct.
It's funny you said that. This past Saturday we were at a luncheon, and it was I would call it economic empowerment luncheon, if you will. And so one of the speakers was talking about your credit, et cetera. And the other speaker said, when you pull out your phones, everybody open up your banking app. Now go down at the bottom and click. I guess I didn't open it up. I'm like, I ain't opened up this thing in front of all these people around me. But I don't know who Wi-Fi I'm on. But anyway, but I know my bank does. It automatically calculates how much you spend on food, what you spend on gas. And so to your point, she was saying a lot of you don't even know where your money is going.
Exactly.
And I said, she's right. Because when I finally started doing it, I said, now, how much I spent eating out? Because it's $7 here, $14. Like that adds up very quickly.
But that goes back to the value system that I was speaking on. It's actually understanding what is necessary to you to be spending money on. Because when we go and I getting like I like nice things, but at some point, is it valid that I need to go out and get somebody's brand that I don't know what they look like? I have no clue what they look like, but I'm gonna go spend $1,000 on a pair of shoes that have some red on the bottom. And then when you're just talking about with the banking, like I think one of the things we have to talk about as the consumer is educating on when you're talking about credit and everything. I think DeForest,
he was here last month.
Yeah, with his book that he wrote, Debt Free. Mm-hmm. It breaks down that type of accident to get out of debt so that you don't have to be in the situation in the rat race, and then you don't have to.
Changes things.
So when you become when you understand how you controlling your money, then you can speak like that by not even have to do no boycott.
Correct. And now you said that, and I remember he shared his testimony about when he finally saw how much debt he was in and where he was spending money. He said he started downsizing. He moved into like a 1-bedroom apartment, just had a mattress. Like it was, he really just got rid of all excess is what I would say. And he really began, to your point, tell his money what to do.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's, to your point, that's part of that value system. That's part of one of the questions I was going to ask, like, how do we intentionally redirect? But that requires a whole different kind of mindset.
Well, it's just like when someone wants to lose weight or become healthy. They have to change their lifestyle. They have to make a conscious effort to do certain things. And it's the same with how you spend your money.
Yes.
You have to make a conscious effort. If you just say, okay, I will not eat out unless I'm supporting Black. Mm-hmm. Yes. Now, you may not be always able to do that, but you choose where you spend your money. I was at a luncheon Saturday, and Catherine Mitchell, we all know Catherine Mitchell, she stood up and said, I don't know why you want to carry your money to white folk all the time when we have plenty of Black-owned businesses that we could be supporting to get the same quality food and better service, or if not better. Mm-hmm. And she's right. There was no reason for us to eat where we were eating. We could have gone somewhere else with just a little research and understanding.
So Damond done broke out another book. And this is an oldie but goodie. Powernomics by
Oh yeah.
Claude Anderson.
Claude. How did I not know that? Dr. Claude Anderson. We brought him to French. And if you've been in Friendship West for a long time, you know Dr. Claude Anderson. He's been here at least 3 times.
Yes.
And I remember one time that excellent, right? And I like his directness and the way he talked to us very directly about his money. But Powernomics is another great book with Dr. Claude Anderson as well, to really talk about. He really breaks it down. And I think part of it is knowing, like, what is this economic system? And another person, I don't know if he has a text, but Dr. Michael Green.
Yeah.
He's
Black Tax.
Oh, did he write Black Tax?
I think so. I know the book. What you talking about?
Yes, so Dr. Michael Green, who's now at SMU, Perkins School of Theology, just another way for us to think about the economy. And I think thinking about how he views the economy, like a Kingian way of viewing the economy and how he breaks that down, I think lends itself to another value system, because he said it has to be rooted and grounded in humanity. Right, and just how he breaks it down and understands it. So I think that's part of the redirecting is, because the Damond is right. It starts with our value system first. Other than that, you're not going to shop Target. You're going to shop everywhere else. And if Target does something good, you going back because you haven't taken the time to even think differently about your money and where you spend your money, right? And I know, now here's the other thing that's happening. You have some Black folks who have contracts with Target, whose products are being sold in Target. So some people are like, well, what if I go in and just buy that? But you do know you're still supporting Target.
Right.
When you do that, but at the same time, people are like, yeah, but we're also helping, those whether it's a Black woman or Black man who has a product in the store. So what do you think about, how do we navigate something like that?
Buy on from their website, buy directly from them. You're still supporting them.
So I'm going to flip it
Okay.
as a business owner.
Okay, yeah.
So what about if you're working for a company that we know that don't support the theology that you stand on, but you still taking their check every day? Is the mic on?
It's on. It's on. I feel like Fan Lou jumped on you for a minute there. But that sounds like something she would pose to somebody. Yes. No, but I think what I was getting to is that some stuff is nuanced, right? And I think that's what it requires. When you have a real value system, it can drive your decision making in ways that are different, because nothing is a perfect scenario.
Correct.
Right? Because guess what? Now, I don't know if it is one. Do you know a Black manufacturer that builds cars? I know we got Black folks that sell them, but do we have Black folks that build to put the tires on it, build the engine?
They're not going to allow that.
But my point is, you're still buying a car. I'm just saying that the nuance here is, like, we know there's some things we know where we have to spend money, but how do we make sure where we have the ability to redirect the resources, we do that at all costs?
That's what I was saying. I think that, not to cut you off, but I think this is why we need to choose areas that we can dominate. If we look at, it's a book out that I've read. It's called Immigrant Inc. And it talks about how the immigrants come in and then they carve in a field. And so, like, if we look at the ages, how they carved and they stole the Black hair market.
Yes.
Then you have the other people that have actually carved out the donut industry. Or the
Indians.
Hispanics that actually.
The Indians got Dunkin' Donuts on lock.
The Hispanics actually have taken in, like we were talking about the building of the houses or the landscaping.
Right.
These were black professions, but when we got educated, a lot of us started to look down on it versus actually coming into the community and say, hey, my granddad did this here. How can I scale this where I don't have to be on the ground, but I can pass this off to a high school student and let them come through college, and then we scale this here? Because I know some Hispanics that have 11 or 12 trucks. They're making $20,000-$30,000 a week on cutting lawn, but we look down on that and we ain't made $30,000 in a year.
You're right. And I think that's the trick, though, that we've fallen into, though, right? Because something tells us the achievement looks like what white people tell us, though.
Absolutely.
What it means to make it looks like what white people tell us what it means to make it. And what success looks like is what white people say. And so we're reaching and striving for that, which they're never going to see you as equal. And you see it every day. Remind us constantly, whether it's microaggressions, even as King said, the moderate and the liberal white folks got to be the worst ones.
Correct.
Can we talk about, we just look at D.C. And so to your point, and I love how you're saying, what areas can we dominate? And I would even say, what areas can we reclaim? Because I'm looking every Dunkin' Donut going, I'm like, now when did this happen? But they probably say, you know what? This is where we're going to start. We're going to get our money. We're going to do it. It's intentional. I'm going to get the book you just talked about. I need to read that. It's called, go ahead and pull it out, brother. Come on. So you got your little bookmarks in here?
Yeah.
So this is another book we all should read, Immigrant Inc., Why Immigrant Entrepreneurs Are Driving the New Economy and How They Will Save the American Worker. I need to get this ASAP. So this is another text. You probably can't see really good in the camera. We're going to put all these books in the section, the bio section, so you all can get these. Because Damond came ready to spread his knowledge and pass. This is what I'm talking about. It's brick by brick. This is how you do it.
Classrooms. I want to.
That's
bring
right.
my book back.
That's what we do. That's right. You came prepared. And so, because I think that is the spirit of Fannie Lou Hamer, right? How she really, it wasn't, not because she wasn't just a civil rights activist. Like, she was a human rights activist, and she also had a well-developed theology to understand food and land sovereignty, right? She understood what it means to have a farm, to own and control your food. I mean, for her time, these are the things that she saw beyond that. She saw, well, let's focus on this. We know we need to do this to make sure we not only feed ourselves, but we have control over our money. And I think that is where I sit right now. It's like, how can we do just what you're saying? How do we even start that? How do we even get to the point where we can say, okay, here are the areas we want to designate or target that we need to begin to build and dominate?
I think the church has the key.
You think we have
all
the
of
key?
the resources? We have to go back to looking like the brother that I can't think Clay with the shrine of the Black Madonna.
Oh yeah, Albert Clegg. Yeah, past that. Yeah, Reverend Albert Clegg, Black Shrine of the Black Madonna.
So not only he was buying the land, but they was creating business, and then we got to look outside of the church too, because Elijah Muhammad had a master plan.
Right.
You know, it's Garvey. You know, we can keep going, but
We can keep
so
going.
we don't. It's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
We just got to cultivate it to what we living in right now.
Right.
You know, but I think all of the resources are in the churches, and a lot of times, come on. We in this week. You know, Fannie Lou used to talk about the church too. Come on. I mean, it says. I think it says pick up your cross and follow me. See, we want the crown, but we don't want the cross.
All right.
And to your point, yes. Well, since he gonna bring that up, well, the classroom is about the intersection of theology, race, politics, and gender. So you own it. But the cross, and that's why I tell you, when Christ says, "Pick up your cross and follow me," the cross is not, "Ooh, I got to lose this weight," or "Man, I got." No. It is picking up the cross. To your point of what are the social ills that you have to address. It's gonna call that could put you in the crosshairs of empire.
Correct. That's good.
Right. And so to your point, that's what, and you said it earlier, it's called sacrifice. It's called delayed self-gratification. Right? It's those things that I feel like our ancestors understood well. And particularly, I would say most of us, our age in here, more like our grandmothers.
Okay, you know, I'm old enough to be your mother. So
Oh, well, you know, hey, you can't never tell with us. We look 30 when we 70, you know, hey. But to your point, Damond, it's really going back to what's there. It's Sankofa. It's going back fetching.
Correct.
Right? That's what's useful and helpful, so we might move forward. 'Cause I would want to explore that and how maybe we can have some kind of conversation around that about how do we really say, okay, here are some industries based on who we have in our church or people who have a desire to be engaged in a particular industry but don't know how or where to start, but they have the passion.
Because see, the church has a value system already, you know. So just as what I look at. So if you have a value system already, and you expand the ministry outside of just 2,000 years ago and actually dealing with what's going on right now, then what happens is then you really can bring back the concepts of what we call the real susu. See, the reason the susus didn't work right now and became a scam and a hustle because there was no value system that aligned it. Or as Dr. Amos Wilson always talked about, culture is supposed to fix problems. When it no longer fixes problems, it's no good. So like the value system of the church can actually help to keep things stabilized and to make sure that we're doing good business, good trading, and then we sharing it back and forth amongst this because the money is there. I mean, this is as Dick Gregory always says, the longest and the oldest institution in the black community is the black church. That's all we have right now. You know, these are the largest buildings that we have. So
Right.
we've learned how to build buildings, but have we learned how to create sustainable income for everybody amongst the institutions?
Yeah, that requires, that requires churches, though, to your point, to make sure your value system is aligned
Correct.
with that of African culture and understand. You know, as Dr. Greg Carr would say, you know, meaning making, right? And unfortunately, a lot of black churches, that ain't the value system. They are mimicking.
But that's fine.
No, it's not.
No, it is. That's fine. So they over there. But the ones that's doing, if they keep doing, then the pressure is going to, the people are going the same way that we revoke on Target. Once they start to see that friendship is doing what it's doing, why y'all not doing this here? Why y'all still doing Sunday swaps with white folks, bringing the white preachers into the church? Why y'all doing this?
Well, they still swapping.
Well, that's my point.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You know, I wanted to go to church with my grandchildren. The first Sunday I went to their church, they had swapped. And I had made an announcement. I told people, okay, I'm not coming back to Friendship West because I want to worship with my family. I didn't miss a Sunday. I left, walked right out and came on
back. So, no, but I hear what you're saying, Damond, but I think it's also the case that our crisis in community is reaching a point where a few, yes, can make an impact, but I think we need more. And I know it's, for me, yeah, just like I do, and, you know, Cheryl could probably tell, we all say we going with the going crowd. We going with who with it. We not worried about who not coming. But I do think somewhere here, other churches do have to be called out and held accountable because they also have an obligation to the people that they're serving.
Jesus only had 12 disciples.
Yeah, one betrayed them.
Yeah, but the movement kept going,
Level.
though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Clark, you spoke of Dr. Clark, but Dr. Clark said, bury the man, continue to play in.
All of that. I'm gonna say I'm gonna still stay there because I'm still always challenge and call out those black churches that do. Because here's the thing, what happens is they don't send, but their members come to French West then when they need something.
That's fine.
No,
That's fine. Somebody got to inspire.
somebody has to inspire, but somewhere I'm gonna hold you accountable too.
But, you know, at the same time, when you want to teach, you know, the business owner how to produce, consumers need to learn how to be good consumers.
So let's talk about that. So let's talk about, I want to hear, since you're the business owner, you're the consumer.
I'm a consumer too.
Well, you are, but you here as a business owner today, saying COFA. So, because part of what I hate when I hear this war going back and forth, and people, to your point, we get online and we bash a black-owned business or we have a bad experience, which sometimes the bad experience is legitimate. It has nothing to do with you haven't been supported. Sometimes you just, do you remember we used to do Black Dollar Monday?
Yes.
And we started having black-owned, we will highlight a black-owned business.
And then we'd all go there.
And then the one time, you know, we started highlighting, then we realized you said you was a painter, but you don't know how to paint. So I'm saying on one hand, and so we started, people like, hey, I hired these people from the church. No, they weren't from the church now. We was highlighting. But I do think we need, to your point, you said, how do we communicate without necessarily bashing online, right? So, Damond, as a business owner, what are some consumer behaviors that you see, you've witnessed, that you...
I got one. That's a pet peeve of mine.
I'm sure you do. What's your pet peeve?
Hey, I was just coming by to support y'all today. I said, do you advertise when you go to Target that you support them? I said, if it's not good enough, don't come in here. Don't spend your money. Man, what you talking about? Why you like this here? You don't advertise to nobody else that you go and support. So now when you say that, when you say you come and support me, so are you looking for something else? Because you telling me this here? Or are you coming just to do what you're supposed to be doing, is shopping with people that look like you?
Right, correct.
That's the one that stands
That's
out.
one, okay.
Or they expect something extra.
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh, now I'm not even a business owner. That gets on my nerves. Like when you go up and deal with wherever, if it's not on sale, you don't ask for a discount, right? You wait till you put it on sale, then you go get it. But we will do that, right? It's like, no, if the price is on there, that's how much it costs, right? But as a consumer, what would be some of, what would be your, he used the word pet peeve, what would be something that you feel as a consumer that you're like, okay, if a business, when our Black-owned business do this, I wish this would change, maybe that. But what like change behavior would you say?
One of the things that annoys me, I go to a Black-owned business and, it's a small business and they're not open when people are hungry. I get off work and I want to go buy something to eat. Why are you closed? And you're selling food. Well, that's because they have they got to pay their bills and they're somewhere else. If you ran your business the way it's supposed to be run, you wouldn't have to close.
I could argue with that. I could argue with that. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and that's a valid point. But depending on the stage that you're in, see, one thing about it, when we were talking about the value system and then locking in on our trade, see, a lot of us, my dad used to always tell me a jack of all trades is a master of none. Mm-hmm. So we as Black people, we are too creative. We have too many, we can do too many things. But a lot of times we don't want to pick the profession and work the system first with that. So we get caught up chasing our tails on that. So, but I get it. But when you underfinance and you're not getting any money from the banks or anything, so a lot of times, you're in a desperate mode. And like, if you're a serial entrepreneur, or then you have some that are part-time entrepreneurs, they got 2 jobs, but then I always say they in traffic. They messing it up for the real entrepreneurs that's actually every day. Like every day I wake up, I have no idea what kind of money I'm going to make today. But I know how much the bill's going to be. You know what I'm saying? But in the beginning, every day you trying to figure out, hey, man, I got to get ahead. Got to get ahead. And a lot of times you don't get ahead, and then you don't think about the, like you said, the consumer that I didn't advertise for 2 years that I was open, and then the year and 18 months you decide to come and I'm closed.
Yeah. Right. or at least, because my experience with that sometimes has been the door says you should be open right now. Not so much you just close on a Monday. You just happen not to be open. That's fine because you're like, I'm not open on Mondays. But it's for me when I'm like, well, now see.
Yes, that's
So
what
we
I'm
have-
talking about.
But we had people like Boris Watkins that ruin a lot of people. Be your own boss. You the boss. You this here. So in our mindset, we thinking that because you calling the shots that you can do what you want to do. See, that's what has messed it up right there with people like him that don't understand. We're using catchphrases. So a lot of times our ego gets in the way. And that's one thing we don't want to talk about from the consumer side or the business side is that you have to put your ego away and put in practicality of understanding that if I'm bringing a product to the market, is it fair? And am I going to be consistent with it? And is it good for the community?
That's good. So what would be your response to that?
I don't have a response
Okay.
to that. Because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but I think the way you broke that down is good for people to understand that when they're interacting, particularly with small Black-owned business, it could be, to your point, well, I got multiple things moving here. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying you can better understand maybe perhaps what's going on. And then let's just be honest, just like some consumer, because I know a person, I don't care if it's a Black business or a white business, she is a horrible consumer. She's a horrible customer. Everything's a problem. Nothing is ever right, right? And I think that we just have to be free enough to say, okay, you know what? Look, it's so bad. We were somewhere one time, the woman said, here you go. I'm going to give you your money back. I don't even want you to buy the product.
I've done that.
So that's one thing. And then we talk about, and we all probably had an experience where it didn't go quite like we wanted to. And we hired someone to do something at our house or work on our car. Because I had that experience with my car. Saying you could do something, but you couldn't do it. Yeah. She just told me you couldn't do it.
Correct.
Right? Because you made it worse. But I want to have this dialogue because I think we do a lot of that back and forth, but we never talk about how to do it in a constructive way, in a way that can help us all just be better as opposed to just complaining and bashing, right? That could possibly hurt a business or for a consumer to feel a particular kind of way about,
and then we got to get our ego out of the way of when the consumer feels like that they got a lot of money. They have a lot of money. So then their ego is in the place. And then on the flip side of it, then you have the business owner that then accumulated a lot of money in their mind. So then my ego is, I don't have to take this. You see what I'm saying? And for business owners, like what's helped me out is that I've been blessed to be able to have people that's been in business before me that I can still go through. You know, I think first of all, one of the ones we need to give acknowledgement to, and then our prayers go up to them is Records, Records Barbecue.
Yes.
You know,
Oh yeah.
so Mama Records would come. She would tell me stories, about when they first started, and doing it, and so like that was valuable, that. So things like that, and even with Robert Petrie with Skyline Ranch, he's been in business for long. So I would listen to them, and then. But a lot of times we don't want to take guidance from the old school. You know what I'm saying? And my dad used to always say, you don't get old by being no fool.
That's true now, because you make some bad decisions, huh?
And I've made a lot of them.
Well, haven't we all? But we still here. Ain't God good? So we all have. So you touched on this. I just want to touch on a little bit about, because this kind of goes back to what we're saying about capacity of some of our Black-owned businesses. The hurdles or the roadblocks, i.e. financing, and how that impacts our ability to maybe zero in on, and then what will be an alternative if we decide, okay, Friendship West held this, I don't know, business expo, for lack of a better word, and we're going to target 4 things that we want to now take over and master, but we can't get, what have you found to be an alternative to when you don't get traditional financing from financial institutions?
Who you working for? Who you working for? Hey, we had to talk about that after. No. I mean, you have to be creative.
Or as in, but I think it's something, and this is what I've been saying for, I don't know, the past 7 years. How do we radically reimagine not just maybe cooperative, but how do we radically reimagine mutual aid societies? So where maybe it's about supporting business owners, getting business off the ground. How do we put money? How we collectively pull our resources together? Because one thing, I don't know if this book, I'm sure maybe it talks about it. Because what I do know about some immigrant families I know, they put their money in a pot.
That's so.
Yeah, you said that earlier. Yeah. Your folks started that not too long ago.
That's why I made the value system of the church, because it was money oriented versus actually.
Come on, that's
another book.
We in class today.
This book here talks about all of the African susus, and even Asian susus as well. And then when you're talking about the financing, it's the color of law, Black banks, and the racial wealth gap.
Yeah, I got that at the crib.
Yeah, I know you do.
So this is called Ethnic Enterprise in America. Businesses. What is that? Let me go. You done read it so much. The subtitle gone. Businesses and it's called Ethnic Enterprise in America. Business and welfare among Chinese, Japanese, and Blacks. So
it's rotating credit. It's basically what it talks about is rotating credit.
So how do we? So this comes part of the value system, right?
The value system starts first, because what happens when you don't have the value system, we could all sit around here once a week. We could put in $100 every week, but once you get what you need, you don't show up anymore.
You gone, right?
Or we find a way to run rackets, and then it becomes a pyramid scheme. See, this is what. See, we took on the European aspect of it versus actually. I know some brothers from Nigeria right now. They do it once a month. Each month, somebody gets $60,000. Every month they doing this, And one of my friends here always say, "Yeah, December's my month,"
Hey.
And this is why they're able to finance their businesses and keep everything rolling. But we don't. We've been Europeanized so much that a lot of times we looking at everything as a hustle. And the money is not the objective. But when you have the value system and the culture element, I don't want to disappoint you, because I know that you go to church with me and I'm going to see your sister, your mother, your grandmother. So then it keeps everything in the circle. But when we don't have the value system or the culture element, that's what makes everything become perverted.
Yeah, one of my great-grandfather, he had a little garden, and he sold vegetables. He had the restaurant right next to it and the apartments above it. And everyone in the family contributed, and he employed family members. Well, He left it to my grandmother, but she let her cousins run it. And they ran a gambling. Lost everything. Lost everything. And everybody in the family was mad at my grandmother. And I'm like, yeah, but she thought she was supporting family, letting them run it because they could cook. But they weren't making the money, and they found alternative ways of financing it.
You got to learn.
Yeah.
And at night they had a, gambling, and I guess they didn't pay somebody.
Yeah.
And the police came and shut them down, and they took everything, the
all.
land, everything.
So, as always, this hour goes by so fast. We only have 5 more minutes. So, what I want to do to close out, what final thing would you like to say as it relates to what you want people to know about Black-owned businesses, particularly as we're talking about, because coming up, they're going to talk about blackout, don't buy. I want to talk about relationship to the upcoming holidays and what people are being asked to do and where not to spend their money.
I'm just going to say a few words what Commissioner Price used to say when he was on the radio, when he had his radio show before it was even popular to have. I'll call it, he had a podcast on KKD back in the days.
Come on now.
And when he was asked a question, I'm going to edit it. He says, did you buy black today? Then who the heck do you think will?
All right.
Yes.
What would be your thing as a consumer?
Right now, identify the businesses that you are going to support during the blackout. Don't wait till you need something or want something for your grandchildren or your whoever, and then you don't know where to go. Identify those Black businesses that you need to support. There are certain places I go all the time. But maybe I need something else. I need to know exactly where else I can go. And you partner with your friends and your relatives, and you say, okay, during the blackout, this is where we're going to shop. These are the 5 places, the 6 places we're going to shop.
That's good.
Yep. And so with that in mind, so also in the bio on today's episode, we have several links that you can click on that'll be local businesses, but also national business owners. So, because it could be maybe where you live, they don't have it where you live. That won't be an excuse. You can go online and order it from another Black-owned business in part of the country, which means you need to start early so it can get shipped to you. To your point, it's about not being so convenient. I mean, I'll admit it's easy to hit Amazon, but boop, 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 be here tomorrow. Put it in the
Or
locker.
today.
You're right. So it's about being intentional. Start looking now. You can use some of those links, and they probably take you to some other links. But we want to at least give you something to get started with. So as you're saying, start early, identifying where you're going to get it from, see what they have to offer, write that thing down. It's going to take us to be very intentional about the money and how we redirect it, which may not be as convenient as dropping into a Target or, again, doing something like an Amazon where you can get it immediately. That's part of the sacrifice we have to make, but it's a very small sacrifice as it relates to what does it mean for us to love on ourselves, to establish a value system of I'm going to support Black-owned first. And despite the hiccups that we may have, right, it's still worth us making sure we support. And the idea, hopefully, would be as we do more support, business owners say, okay, I see business growing. Let me begin to do what I need to do to be able to accommodate this growth, right? So it's on both sides. And, of course, at the church, we try to do the both thing. We have West Wall Street frequently where business owners can come and we can support. But we also, try to do a business accelerator program for those who you're not accounted, but this is what you need to do to make sure it's correct. Just how to really walk people through that, your marketing plan, how you're going to market to the people, et cetera, right? So I think it's an ongoing thing we have to do. And I would love to, Damond, you should put something together where you have the church come and we have a conversation around what does it really take and what is required of church to do even more. I know we do some good stuff, right, but I bet we could probably go up another level. I always say you can always level up. Right. Nobody has ever reach the plateau. So maybe that's something we need to talk about in more detail and more depth. We have time to really break it down and have a plan. What's like we go immediately when we leave here, we're doing this one thing.
I would love to see us form a consumer feedback unit so that we can support Black businesses without blasting them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
to give that positive feedback.
Yes.
Yep.
But the black business have to be willing to
That's it.
receive.
That's right. It's value system. We out here trying to be better. Right. It's not hurt on either side. We just saying we gotta level up, period. Dot. If we're gonna get out of this thing and we're really gonna build something, that's what we're gonna have to do. So thank you all for being here. Let's give it up for Damond and Dr. Loren Gilbert-Smith for being in the classroom on today. And so, of course, we want to make sure you remember that you can support the classroom by purchasing your Fannie Classroom T-shirt. Of course, we drop some new merch on there. We check every week to see if you're supporting us. So go ahead and buy your T-shirt. You can also purchase a matching bag as well. We're still in the throes of our eye care holiday drive, where many of you have given contributions toward it by scanning that QR code. So we thank you, because we probably have to support some of our scholars at HGP, Haynes Global Prep, because we haven't given out all of our lights. So we want to make sure every child gets something. So you can scan that QR code, or you can go online and you can also donate online. So anything helps. But if you're in person this Sunday, you can adopt. I hate saying not adopt. You can support one of our scholars at HGP. So you can do that on Sundays as well. And the kids want simple stuff. One of them wanted a motorcycle. I was like, hold on, brother. But most of them want things like, young girls want lip gloss, scented lotion. We can hook them up. Just have a good holiday season. And then lastly, we started season 6 talking about joy and why it's important for us not to let anybody steal our joy with Dr. Irie session, because we knew in between there we're going to have some other hard conversations. So we're going to end on joy comes in the morning. So we're going to talk about how we can have still joy in the midst of the holiday season, where we can have experience or are experiencing any kind of loss that might have us grieving, not just a death of a loved one. It could be a separation from a job. It could be a broken relationship. But we want to make sure that we kind of get some advice on some tips on how we might go into this holiday season with joy, and that we're not necessarily living in the grief that paralyzes us. So super excited about that conversation with our very own pastor of pastoral care, the Reverend Thomas Hagen Gardner, and then our pastor of youth and young adults, or youth in collegiate ministries, Reverend Kia Westbrook. Just kind of want to hear about tips they have for both adults, but also our children go through a lot, and a lot of them just deal with a lot day to day, are forced to be grown when they're not asked to do so. So just how do we kind of help them manage with some tools we can provide that folks can use for their children or even grandchildren? Maybe you're a grandparent raising younger children. You need to be able, how do you relate and how do you help them through whatever they're grieving through? So we're going to close out on that on next Thursday. So look forward to seeing you as we close out season 6 of Family's Classroom. Thank you for being here on day, and we look forward to seeing you next week. And make sure you check out our bio. We're going to drop all the books the mom brought up in the classroom day. We got 5. He came with his backpack full of knowledge. And so we'll make sure we pass it on to you so you can grab some of these resources. Thank you for being here. See you next week.
From the church to